I know what probably most of you are thinking right now. Hey Daniel, why didn't you go watch The Fall Guy? I've been hearing a lot of good things about The Fall Guy. Why in the world did you choose to watch Tarot instead of The Fall Guy? Well, maybe because I have a little bit of hunger for pain or something like that. Although, don't get me wrong, there there are moments in my heart that, yeah, maybe I should have gone watch the Fall Guy, but it got into conflict with the other movie, of course, Tarot, because and I was kind of like leaning to the it's so bad it's enjoyable kind of expectations that is the one that hooked me hook, line, and sinker more than the Fall Guy, which is unfortunate because there's part of me that I did wanted to see that, but well, romantic comedies is not exactly kind of like my high preference to so to speak. So there is this complication. If I get kind of like a time that I might get encouraged and a way to watch it in a cheaper way, maybe I might do it. But now that I think about it, it's funny. It's now May. May is usually the summer blockbuster season start. Usually we kickstart the season with a Marvel movie. Guess what? Not this year. Not this year. You know what? We heard peep of a new Marvel movie this year. Actually, the only one they were kind of encouraging is Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool 3. I don't know, Mike. You know that it. Well, I'm not. They're kind of partly blaming about the superhero fatigue. I still mostly blame that because you've been giving out garbage after garbage after garbage. That new face of Marvel is getting worse and worse. I mean, look, they gave us the Marvels, which was awful, Quantumania. The only one that did good that came out last year was actually Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But wow, it feels odd that we finally got a year in which we kickstart the summer blockbuster without Marvel. But now you go to watch the Fall Guy, which I know I should have gone watch that instead of Tarot, the latest horror movie that, oh my god, what a surprise! It's not from Blumhouse. It's actually Sony. But still, that's the one that got me interested the most. Because, well, like I said, I'm mostly kind of like a sucker for horror movies. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I still have to, criticize it in one way or another. And also, there is the premise that it seems interesting enough about, killer tarot cards, considering that I'm not exactly kind of like a guy who is 100% fascinated about fortunes, horoscopes, and all that stuff. And sometimes I get it kind of like for, passing through ships and giggles. But, well, here's the thing. I got mostly interested and had a little bit of knowledge on tarot cards, mostly because I played the Shin Megami Tensei series, most notably the Persona series. Like here, I did buy Persona 3 Reloaded, in which, by the way, guys, I not exactly recommend this game. I kind of don't recommend it because of the awful censorships. There are also some questionable things that I don't like some changes and some stuff that they did in this game. Although to be fair, the interface is, compared to the PlayStation 3 gameplay is a little bit better. More because it's a little bit more family friendly, user friendly. But there is still the charm of the PlayStation 3 version, and that I still encourage it. Oh, and don't play the portable version. The portable version is awful. That was a total downgrade. Although this is kind of like a decent remaster, but still I am angry about the changes because they wanted to make it more PC. But either way, this was a very soulless really soulless remaster, and so I kind of don't encourage it. Oh yeah, and there's the upcoming DLC that they're gonna bring back the worst aspect of the expansion. But anyway. But still, I mentioned this because this is because those kind of games they have, they have the aspect of the tarot cards, which this is how I got some kind of knowledge of that, and partly that is why it became the reason that I decided to watch Tarot, and I was kind of like anticipating it more than the Fall Guy. So that's kind of like my explanation. The day came. I finally decided to go there. I watched it, and how can I explain it? Yeah, from what you can tell, I was sounding like I was complaining that I was like, oh my god, I should have watched the Fall Guy or something like that. But you know what? The movie is bad. Oh yeah, this movie is terrible. But in a way, I don't regret it. I don't regret watching Tarot because honestly, this year we had a year of garbage horror movies. Most of them are from Blumhouse, but this is Sony. And you know what? As garbage those movies were, I forgot. We got Sting. Sting was actually a good one. As garbage as those movies were, except for Sting, this is actually one of the better ones. Because, in a way, this is the kind of garbage movie that I encourage to give more. Because there is something kind of like ironically enjoyable that this one has, and because this is kind of like an original original premise. Although the execution is not original, is still a movie that follows, the typical footstep of a typical movie that came out from the 2000s. And well, honestly, I kind of encourage that because these kind of movies, they have the chance to become so bad is laughable. And now that I think about it, this year I also saw Founders Day, and Founders Day also have kind of like the same stigma. Although Founders Day was also better because Founders Day kind of missed the point of being Founders Day. It had kind of like this wacky rivalry between two major candidates that kind of make the movie a little bit more enjoyable. This one is it kind of, also has kind of like the enjoyable aspect that you have a premise that it is out of this world, and it plays out some of the stuff that you needed, but man, that the execution is kind of like awful, but in a way it's kind of like mesmerizingly bad at that. I was just sitting there just watching, and I was like, predicting a lot of the stuff, like almost like writing my own bingo card. And honestly, I was enjoying it. I was kind of like having this smile on my face, like this asshole that it goes like, I know where you're going. I know where you're going up. You know that you do it. And honestly, I prefer that than the shit that Blumhouse gave us, especially this year with Night Swim or Imaginary. So, but at once I will tell you that the biggest factor that made this movie even sink even lower is the ending. This movie has one of the biggest kick in the balls ending that this movie has. I am serious. I thought that this movie was gonna be kind of like, okay, this is gonna be maybe I'll be generous and I'll give it kind of like a C minus, but then it downgraded to a D just because of that ending. That ending is the only moment that got me a little bit pissed. And you know what? I'm telling you this because I am not gonna bother to make a spoiler warning because this is something that I have to talk about, and you have to hear, and you wanted to hear it. But at once, I will tell you that this is basically a rental. A rental if you want to see, if you want to see something that is kind of like reminiscent of a 2000 bad horror movie. Although it doesn't reach what the F level of laughability, like Wish Upon or The Bye Bye Man. I still kind of want to see a movie that goes into that caliber because these kind of bad things, it's something that should be ironically celebrated. You might get angry, but still, God. All right, I'm gonna start. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Abigail was actually pretty good, I'll say, even though there has some nitpicks here and there. Okay, going with Tarot or Tarot, whatever you're gonna call it. Even the movie itself kind of tried to correct it like that. It started out these college people, or adults playing college people or whatever it is. They're doing the usual youngster thing, partying, being asshole. They've had this bed and breakfast on this big mansion so they can camp out. We got having their beers, and they're looking for beer. They're drinking beer. The typical horror movie teenager stuff because PG-13 and all this stuff. So the thing is, they're doing their usual, gossip. Like for example, they say that, oh, look at our protagonist. She is very good with her boyfriend. Oh no, they broke up because they're different because one of them is ambitious and the other one's not. And then while looking for a beer inside the house, instead of driving miles away to get some more beer. They find kind of like a small wooden box with kind of with a pentagram, and they find that there are handmade tarot cards. And since a protagonist, she apparently also had some experience on reading tarot cards. they beg her, to make a tarot card reading because, well, one of them begs her by saying, come on, it's my birthday. So she's like, okay, fine. And one by one, she's beginning to, saying her horoscope. Like, for example, she begins to predict, like saying, all right, you're gonna get some good fortune, but then something kind of like it happens, and each of them they get associated with a major arcana from the tarot card. You gotta look for up if you because explaining tarot is kind of like a big deal, but basically it's kind of like usually symbols and an icon that get associated with your fortune. For example, one of them it gets associated with the high priestess, the symbol, the one of the major arcanas. Then another one gets associated with the hermit. Then another one with the hanged man. Then the other one with the fool. That boyfriend he gets associated with the one of them is also get associated with the magician. The boyfriend is with the devil, and our protagonist, of course, with the death arcana. By the way, just a quick explanation. These are kind of like the symbols that from 12, I think it was 12 or 13 major arcanas. I know them from the Persona series. Some others that they didn't tell about in the movie that I'm actually very curious. There's the Emperor, Empress, Lovers. What was the strength tower is kind of mentioned in a little bit. There's also the sun, the moon, the stars. It's kind of like big thing. It's kind of like a thing, but I'll say this. But the way that I'm saying it, you know what this movie is going through. They read tarot card. They made predictions and fortune telling with those tarot cards. Little did they know that these tarot cards they're cursed, and whatever your prediction you do, they'll come for real. And not just they made real. They also get chased by the kind of like the physical representation of those arcanas, and they're just there to kill them. So basically, this is kind of like an interesting premise. I'm not gonna lie that this premise alone is interesting. And the trailer kind of doesn't lie about that. And one of the aspects that the trailer actually hooked me up is that I did want to see the physical manifestation of a demon that takes shape of those arcanas. And the trailer shows it. Like, for example, the hangman, you see kind of like a creature that it uses a rope to hang people. Or the fool, you have this jester creature. And I wanted to see a little bit more of that. And that was kind of like the interesting part. And I'll get to that just in case. Because the whole... but either way, despite that, it's pretty much a milk and toast kind of storytelling, because you know where it goes. You have seen these kind of stories. Maybe for newcomers, it might come new to it, but now I have kind of like an experience that I was just finding out kind of like the flaws here and there. For example, the characters. The characters are, well, just meatbags. They don't exactly kind of hit you very hard, because you're just finding like, oh yeah, there are some annoying college students that they have kind of like this this personality that you just don't want to hang around with. That they're kind of like the guys who just want to party people. Luckily, there are not exactly the kind of guys that you just want to strangle. But honestly, they don't have enough characteristics to just sit there and root for them, and they kind of, most of them, they're kind of blend with each other. But in particular, I will say that there is this that the protagonist is played by Harriet Slater. She plays her protagonist name is Haley. The only thing that we know about her is that she knows how to read tarot cards, and it's mostly because she had that experience where she had to deal with the loss of her mother, in which her mother was terminally ill, and she just played the tarot card in order to change her fate. But unfortunately, she always came up with the death card, and she has to learn that fate is written. Fate is you cannot change fate. And also she had the boyfriend played by Dane Bradley, which let's say that he's kind of like the boyfriend kind of character, in which they just broke up because kind of for a stupid reason, because mostly because the protagonist is like, oh, but my boyfriend is not very ambitious, but the other one is, he even say like, oh, she's very ambitious and I don't know how to deal, I don't know this stuff. And then the other characters, like for example, one played by Antica, another one played by Amberly Gonzalez, another one played by Larcene Thompson, other one played by Wolfgang Noverwag. And they're kind of like characters that they just, blend in. And like, you could say that, for example, here's the birthday girl, here is kind of like the woman who she kind of likes technology, and the other one here and there. Oh, but and there's also the guy who is a little bit of a douche, but with a heart of gold or something like that. Oh, by the way, I did leave one character in particular, because that character is the comic relief. I'm talking about a character named Paxton, and he's played by Jacob Batalon. That's right. He's Ned from the Spider-Man movies. Funny thing that I did say that we didn't start off the summer blockbuster without a Marvel movie, but at least we got an actor from the Marvel movies. We got Ned. He plays the comic relief who likes to vape. Guess what character got the full major arcana? I mean, he wasn't annoying. I like Ned, but boy, that I have something to say about this character. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah, they were just kind of like the usual, milk and toast characters that they're just there just to become characters in a play. Just let it go, and they're getting killed one by one, but they can't tell anyone because no one will believe it until they conveniently find a website, because apparently, like many of those movies, Google apparently have all the answers. They have this website, and then they lead them to this survivor from all these experiences, and she's played by Olwen Furere, in which this woman, she played the older Sarah from that awful Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'll leave it like that for the moment, but man, that her only role is to be kind of like the character that I know all the answers. I have all the answers. She goes with the exposition of why these tarot cards are cursed, because apparently she made a history out of it, because she researched the whole cursed tarot card thing, because she's the only she survived, and I'll get to that, by the way. But and apparently this is a character that she could say that I'm not going with that. Screw you, you're screwed. You deal with your own. But no, she decides to help these people. I don't know why, because apparently she's like, but I think this is what I'm fated to, or something like that. Sometimes this kind of characters, it's like, I don't know what this character is like. Hey, but you know the answer, and no one, they don't have kind of like the heart to say that. Look, I don't want to deal with this stuff. Go away. I don't know. So that's the thing with these kind of characters. Okay, before I go to a little bit more of that, I will tell a little bit about the cinematography. That, well, it is not badly shot, except that there are moments in which, when you go with the creature feature, when the creatures appear, they are mostly kind of like hidden in the shadows. And so you don't get kind of like a good recognition with them. And unfortunately, it have kind of like a mixture between some good makeup as well as some bad CGI. Although thankfully, there are times that the exposure is good enough to give you an appreciation of the creature, because the creatures are actually really well done when you think about it, and they have some good memorable designs. In particular, the Fool and the Magician. I will say that the part of the Magician is probably kind of like the best part of the movie, and honestly, that was kind of like the best part. But still, in terms of horror, I'm not saying that much, because the movie still it falls in the trap of the PG-13, that it needs to be over-reliant on orchestral strings and fake jump scares, to be fair, at least it's not kind of like overly abusive, but you can tell that. Well, now I retract that. Sometimes it gets overly abusive, because they kind of feel like it feels sometimes this is where the execution of the monster behavior kind of fails. Is that these are the kind of monster that they want to play stealthy instead of going for the kill, which kind of makes you question. Sometimes the monster have kind of like the opportunity to kill them right in there, but why just dare to scare them? They just go, when it comes to the opportunity, they come with a jump scare and go, most particularly kind of like the High Priestess and the Hangman, that they do that, or the Hermit. Why screaming at their face or playing with their food and just kill them? This is this is kind of like typical that they do, those cheesy horror movies, that they just want you to get scared instead of being what was it, a more competent killer. But still, that's not something about it. Oh yeah, and the kills and the violence, well, yeah, some of them kind of like they're off screen. There's nothing kind of like particularly gory or violent. It still kind of plays and wanted to play safe as PG-13 goes through. Although I will give it credit that they did push a little bit on the kills. They are still bloody. They're still bloody, and one or two of them were particularly brutal in one way or another. And honestly, they did in that part. They did kind of like a better execution for compared to Blumhouse this year. I will say that the one in the with the Magician, I'm not gonna say what it is. You know what? Actually, since I am spoiling a little bit, let's say that the part with the magician, which actually I will consider that this is probably the best part of the movie. That kill was actually brutal. It's not executed, very gorily, but the whole context and the way it was done, that was actually brutal. Let's say that imagine if the whole cutting in half magician routine goes horribly wrong. Yes. Yeah, how can I describe it? Remember, that this Bugs Bunny cartoon where Bugs Bunny saw he just cuts Daffy Duck in half, and Daffy just wants to say don't believe that, this is fake, but he realized that he's already cut in half. Well, imagine that in a horror movie perspective. That's the thing that came out into my head. But still, yeah, these are kind of like the PG-13 and some of the scares, my nitpicks that I do have with the scares. But now I think it is kind of like going a little bit of more spoilery territory, which kind of goes in kind of like the theme with the movie, that it wanted to play out, the theme that you can change your fate, that fate is not set in stone because of the horoscope that you give out. Because but this is also where it comes also with the problem with the movie, is that it becomes conveniently inconsistent with its own lore. Sometimes the character, get answer or conclusion out of the blue, and the main protagonist kind of knows kind of like all the answer, and she's kind of like, and use the website, to go where to go with it, and with this woman. And also, the lore behind the tarot cards, it's actually not that bad. According to the lore, those tarot cards were made by an ancient astronomer who she predicted the outcome of kind of like a noble count who he was expecting his wife to bring a baby. But unfortunately, the astronomer, she predicted that the wife and the baby, they're not going to survive. And well, that happened, and the count basically condemns and chases this woman. And well, it did get to her daughter and kill her. And out of revenge, the astronomer, she makes a pact with demons. She created her own tarot cards. She even killed herself in order to come back as a zombie, in order to give dark power to those tarot cards, in which you predicted, the future in deadly ways. Another thing that I will have to say is that those designs in the tarot cards, they're really good. I love. This is also one of the things that attract me in these kind of movies. That I kind of do love when they make designs like this in an artistic way. Even when they come out in kind of like in a bad movie. Like for example, in the Bye Bye Man, it's a terrible movie, but when you see some of the drawings that you see, it's pretty good. Or in the end of Wish Upon, and Wish Upon is a pretty bad but laughable movie, but the end credit, it has these awesome designs. Same here. Pretty bad movie, but awesome designs on the tarot cards. I even want to have, those tarot cards, in my possession, at least for artistic collection's sake. But anyway, this is the kind of the lore that goes behind it, but also the movie kind of doesn't even explain how the lady survived the whole thing, because she even kind of say that there were various incidents that nobody survived, but she somehow survived, and for some reason she decides to help them, and she gets killed, because apparently they read her fortune. But here's what mystifies me. Her major arcana is the Sword of Six. The Sword of Six. That's not a major arcana. How does she get killed with a minor arcana? This mystifies me. Yeah, she gets killed by swords. I don't know how. The only one that is actually related a little bit to that is probably the Fortune. But the Sword of Six, this is not a major arcana. Again, I play this. I know what are the major arcanas are. I know that there are minor arcana, like the coin or something like that, but Sword of Six, you blew it up. And you just to go short, they get, chased by, the thing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. They get the solution that, okay, you must destroy the card. It doesn't work because apparently the swords are fireproof, and somehow they summon the spirit of the astronomer, and they get chased by the demons and all this stuff, and you get the magician scene, and then our protagonist, they get kind of like the stupid gamble solution that there is, and that is reading the fortune to the astronomer. I'm not kidding. The solution to the whole thing is to read the whole thing. And we have a protagonist in which apparently she's like, I know how you feel. You lost someone important because I kind of lost my mother and all that stuff. But here, I made your horoscope and you got the death. And she's like, you're dead. No shit. She's an undead. Of course she's dead. But she's like, but that doesn't mean death. That means a new beginning, a new life, and all this stuff. And all that bullshit, that they wanted to give out, for that easy solution for this one. But yeah, it's true. The death major arcana basically is also a meaning that death is not necessarily the end. It's also the beginning of bringing a new. Well, she just apparently that solves everything. But now, here's the biggest kick in the balls. At this point, everything was so stupid, but I was kind of like accepting, everything like, this is so stupid, but I kind of buy it. I got over with. But here's what happened. That moment is so stupid that I just had to tell you about it. That was the moment that it got me the biggest drop in the ball. Here's the thing. Almost all the characters, except for our two protagonists, they died. Even we get an off-screen death of Paxton, the guy who plays Ned from the Spider-Man movies. But apparently, that death in particular was so off-screen that in my head, I was like, they're gonna build something that he's gonna be alive or something like that. That he's gonna be kind of like the hero or something like that, the one who saves them. Oh, it went the extra mile for that. Everything is solved. Our protagonists, they just walk, and then they're picked up by Paxton, who survived. And even the movie cuts itself for the moment. Oh yeah, I also even forgot to mention that this Paxton character apparently has an obsession to crime podcast. Okay, I'm just deviating for that. But here's the thing. The movie kind of ends itself shows a second of, no, like 3 seconds at the credit. And there was like, wait. Hey, Paxton, how did you survive? Here's what happened. You know what? I'll tell you in a little bit of detail. In the case of this Paxton character, he gets some, like all the other characters, he gets predictions, horoscopes that they're gonna say that they're gonna be clues about where he's gonna be or something like that. For example, they're gonna have, this character say that this character is gonna take a wrong turn and this is where the whole thing is gonna happen, or this character is gonna be water under the bridge or something like that. In the case of the Paxton character, he's gonna be they predicted that he's gonna be a secluded space surrounded with numbers, which of course we get to see that he gets trapped in an elevator with the full jester following him, and it just begins to torment him, and for the kill. But you have to say, the moment that the clown was about to give it the kill to the Paxton character, he doesn't get killed. Apparently, what happened is that some random guy that we never see, he opens the elevator and he shows up, and he's like, "Hey dude, what's going on? What are you doing here?" I am not kidding. The entity disappears because some random just show up in the nick of time. When I saw that, I just stood on my seat like this. How can you do that? This is the stupidest way to survive ever. The ghost, the entity, the demon just gave up. He just gave up because some random guy appeared. I mean, yeah, it's typical also in very horror movies that characters, they just go to places where there are no people roaming around. It's almost like they go to the kind of like for example, one character goes kind of like the most empty, kind of like the most. This is something like that. This movie also has kind of like the most empty places there is. One guy goes to a train terminal, a train station. All empty, no people. Maybe that's how cheap that movie was. A college, very empty. The main character, the Paxton character. Sorry about that. Empty hallway. But out of the blue, someone appeared. And he just finds the guy, turtling, in the elevator. He's like, "Oh, don't kill me. Hey, dude. Hey, dude, what's going on?" And the guy is like, "Huh?" And you know what? The movie ends. There's not exactly kind of like a cliffhanger by saying that, because he survived, he survived. The curse still goes on or something like that. No, the curse is broken because apparently you just kill off the demon with her own horoscope. Dumb, so dumb, so convenient. It's so unsatisfying. And you know what? I could have by killing the demon with its own horoscope. But that guy's surviving out because some guy just appeared and the ghost just gave up. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It doesn't even explain how the other woman survived. The London thing. That way to survive is the dumbest way ever and the most mesmerizing. And I don't know, this kind of, I don't know whether to punch the movie in the balls back or kind of laugh. I don't know why they did that. Probably someone in the writing room. He's like, come on, let's not kill Ned from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's a likable guy, yes, but this is a movie that... What was up with that ending? What was up with that man to survive? You know what? I'm cringing. I feel cringing to death. Oh my god. You know what? I didn't see that coming. Not even a good fortune teller could predict that stupid move. So you know what? I'll give you that. But you still have your D. You still have your 3 or 4. Yes, no, I'll be a little bit generous. 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. So, well, that is my review of Tarot. I wanted to make it shorter, but this stretched out a little bit too long. But I had to talk about that moment because, God, this is the biggest reason why I wanted to talk about this. Because if it wasn't for that moment, I wouldn't have talked about it. But honestly, I don't urge you to watch this movie on the big screen. At least if you want to feel for curiosity's sake, but no, not in an urgent manner, you can watch it kind of like a rental because, man, that movie should be a little bit more than that and even more. I'm glad, and honestly, I'm glad that I watch it. This one, I feel that I'm glad that I watched it that more than I had with Night Swim or what was it? What was it? Oh yeah, Imaginary. Even I'm gonna say that this movie is actually much better than Five Nights at Freddy's or anything that Blumhouse is coming through. And I'm not saying that Blumhouse can do mesmerizing bad movies. I mean, it did Truth or Dare. Truth or Dare was actually one of Blumhouse's worst, but still, it was laughable. But that one is not from Blumhouse. It's Sony. But still, my God. I just hope that we get kind of like more bad horror movies like that, or you know what, even worse. But as long as they bring some semblance of wasted potential, it's still good enough for me. Because who knows? Maybe these kind of movies are fated to showcase, to be the punching bag of movies.